Well, hello traders and investors, I'm L.A. Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap, where we take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective. That means each time we look at the markets and ask ourselves what happened today and what does it tell us about the coming ones. Do the show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube. It's under the channel L.A. Little. Also do a show on Sunday evenings, same show, just a broader perspective, looking at the weeklies and monthlies. Same thing, you can get all of this. All you have to do is reach up in the right hand corner and hit the subscribe button for free. And anytime I push content, you'll get a notification. As far as what happened today, we have green across the board again today. This is like 7 days straight, I think, for the Dow. For the other indexes, Russell was red today. Elsewhere, you had natural gas down, gold was down, the DAX was flat to down, bonds sold off. You had the Nikkei up. It looks like tonight is up 2%. I assume that's on a weaker yen. I haven't looked. Oil was up again today as well. Dollar did bounce today. That should have made the yen weaker and allow this thing to finally bounce. But you actually had some failures today. So let's take a look at those together and see what we're looking at. Now, failure can happen in many ways. The way I'm looking at it is that you have a huge extension, right? I mean, this has been pretty much a non-stop move straight up. That degree of ascent is not a normal degree, not one that's sustainable. That's one that's sustainable there. That means you either have to correct in price or correct in time at some point, right? Because you will get a regression to the mean somewhere. And so when you're looking at this and you look at Friday's big triple or actually quadruple witching, you had big volume, right? Today you have no volume comparatively. And what do you do today? Well, you actually go over the high and back under it up here. So you go over, back under, less volume, right? That's a failure. That's a failure on the prior day. And then the question is it extended? Now there was a little bit of a consolidation here. And so that makes it a little less extended. But if you go back and you take the last low, which is really down here, the last significant low, and you draw that angle of ascent, that's pretty far of a angle, a pretty good ascent. Makes me think that's probably a 2-bar reversal, right? And a 2-bar reversal, when you get that little baby, usually the next bar is sideways at best or back down the other way. So if you're looking at the S&P 500, S&P has given you a reversal signal tonight. And that's the first one we've seen almost this entire trip. Matter of fact, I think it is the first reversal on the entire trip. I'm looking back to see if there was another one. There wasn't. It didn't have a single reversal signal. Actually, you had maybe one right here. 1930. No, actually, you didn't even get it there. So you've gone, on the daily chart now, since the Feb 11th low, right? You've gone however many days this is, and I guess it looks like about about 6 weeks of trading without any signal of a reversal until tonight. And I'm trying to make sure I'm accurate in saying that. No, I'm not accurate. You actually had one here, but that was just an over-under. That's not very valuable. A 2-bar, much more valuable. So, 2-bar reversal on the NASDAQ. If you go over to the Russell, you have the same picture on the Russell. You get over it, you get back under it, you're coming straight back into the swing point high. You're going to do a retest regen immediately, it looks like. An immediate retest regen says you can get the other side of the bar. So that says you should get down towards the bottom of that swing point high's low, right? So some sort of a reversal to take it back into that area. So a 2-bar reverse, this isn't a 2-bar. This is just an over-under. So that one's not as strong of a signal as we just saw on the S&P 500. But the problem is that you didn't get it elsewhere. You didn't get it on the NASDAQ. That says it can go higher. You didn't get it on the NDX. It also says it can go higher. And if we take a quick look, I'm going to take a quick look here at Apple because I didn't look at the ending quotes on it. Apple gave you the 2-bar also. So you got a 2-bar here, a 2-bar on the major indexes. This is the NDX, or big weighting in the NDX. So you got a 2-bar here. You had some consolidation here. It makes it a little bit harder to call it a 2-bar. That's a decent extension. It's about 6 what is that, about 6% or so. So pretty good extension. And then all the way from the bottom, of course, a big extension with a consolidation in the middle. So this one also, you know, whether it's a 2-bar or it's an over-under, a little bit debatable, but it looks a little bit closer to a 2-bar than not. And if you want a feel for where this market wants to go, it really has been a straight up move, and so you have extensions everywhere. If you go and look at the indexes overseas, you're going to see the same sort of thing where these indexes are struggling. Here's the DAX. DAX also does another failure. Now this is the 5th or 6th in a row. The Draghi bar here, right? So you had, I don't know that they're all failures, but you've had 1, 2, 3, 4. You've had 4 failures, right, to get over each of these 4, to get over and stay over this Draghi bar. Every one of those, they go up, they sell it off, right? The sellers are there, they keep hitting it, they're willing to sell at these higher prices, and they keep pushing it back down. If you look at the French market, right, the French market actually wants to test the low of the Draghi bar. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see both of these markets work their way back there as soon as the dollar tries to push lower again, and we'll look at that next. And finally, I didn't look at it tonight, but let me go see what Switzerland looks like, because Switzerland continues to struggle, and today is no different. That looks like also a failure to get higher today. This one also wants to go lower. So Europe looks pretty much like it wants to go lower. Now, if I go elsewhere and I look at some of the other Asian indexes, you got a reversal on this test of these 2 prior bars highs. It goes over, can't stay over it. That also another weak signal, but a signal that it wants to trade back to the downside. Shanghai stayed over, but if you look at Hong Kong failed the prior bar, so it's over, back under, less volume. Again, almost like the Apple trade, maybe extended, maybe not. Doesn't really look that extended, so it's not as strong a signal. And so you got some reversals there, and those actually, not reversals, but you got some signals there that you're extended again, want to take a break, right? It's the same thing we're seeing everywhere. And when you get this kind of move day after day after day, that's exactly what happens. Somewhere along the line, they're going to take a break. If I look at the emerging markets as a whole, you got the same kind of case here. Didn't quite get to the high though, but it's stagnating at the top. And then finally, let's go look at the dollar. The dollar has pushed back up into the swing point low. 24.72 is the low. You're at 24.72. You're doing 1.7 back into 2. That looks like it could fail here. Now it is coming back within 6 bars. That makes it a pretty good opportunity to try to get a little bit higher. I don't know that it's going to do the full extension of that because you've got this big spike down on the Fed news right here. So I expect that's about as far as it's going to be able to get to the top side. The dollar is going to try to reverse and head back down the other way. So you got the move down, right? The spike down. Now you get the little bounce back into a retest, and then it's going to try to regenerate lower. If the dollar is going lower, that's going to put pressure on the euro. And where's the dollar trying to get to? Well, before it's done, the dollar is going to come down here and test that big high volume low. If we move over and look at the euro now, if the dollar is going to go down, then the euro is going to try to go up. And so you've got the little pullback taking place here as the bounce is taking place on the dollar. Again, look at what you're coming back into. You're coming into the congruent, actually the overlapping area here. That suggests to me, as you're coming back, you don't have the volume. That suggests to me that this thing's going to flip around and somewhere in this range, maybe as high as this, but even certainly here, this is going to take off and go back the other way, go try to knock out that swing point high. If you look at it on a weekly, you've got all these swing point highs up here at the top. It's going to try to go up there and test those. That's going to put pressure on the European indexes, and that's why you see them struggling as they are. Elsewhere, there really wasn't much else. I did look at the major sectors right before I came on to try to get a feel there. The only one that did a kind of reversal signal was the financials. This group continues to struggle. Yeah, they've had a big move too, just like everybody else, but they go over, back under, so it's a kind of an over-under. But everywhere else, you know, like say the industrials, they just keep powering higher. And we see it across the board. You even had some juice finally come back in the XLV today. You've got the consumer discretionary up there hanging at the highs. You've got the technology stretching up a little bit higher. You've got even energy in the XLB today holding pretty well, even though earlier today they were trying to sell off. So these folks are big, long, strong moves. They want to break, but so far nobody's giving it to them. Look at where this one bottomed, 19th of January. The bottom on the market was the 11th of February. You can see what turned. Why did it turn? Well, it turned because of oil. So if we go look at the, I'll just use the USO here again. If we look at oil, oil double bottomed, so to speak, on the 11th, right? And it was testing, just got under, back over. And if you look at the WTI, it didn't quite make the test. Or actually it did, but it had higher volume on the contract itself. But that led to the move up, and so oil was bottoming at the same time. That has been what's led this market up. And if we look at it tonight, you know, you did a doji on the WTI on Friday, and that was a result of what you saw in the rig counts. They didn't go down. They actually they're actually starting to stabilize, and the rig counts actually, I think they went up one in North America. But then again, you know, this is a market that's a huge short squeeze to the upside. They still don't want to give it up. And when this market gives it up, when oil gives up this 40-50% gain it's on already and comes back down to do some more testing, the general market's probably going to follow it right back down to the other side. So you got some subtle signals tonight. Looks like we're getting close to some sort of a pullback. So this is not where you want to be loading up the boat. Matter of fact, you want to be tightening up your stops if you've been trying to ride this on the way up. I'll leave it at that. I'll catch up with you next time, and we'll see what we got tomorrow. Have a great one. Take care. I'll see you next time. Good night.